Well, welcome back to part 2 of the power chords lesson. So, what we're talking about in this lesson is the power chords that have a 5th string root. So if you've done your practice, you're kind of used to running that power chord shape up and down. Hopefully you've memorized where the root notes are, at least the important ones like G, A, B and C, probably F as well. So make sure you know how to play those power chords. Now the next kind of stage, once you've got those ones down, is to learn these ones with a 5th string root. Now before we talked about those other power chords running up and down, because the note that the first finger was on was the root note, and whatever note we put that on becomes the chord name. So like at the 5th fret it was an A, and at the 2nd fret it was an F sharp. Now you can also move exactly the same shape of the power chord down with the root note on the 5th string. So your first finger is going to be on the 5th string. So let me show you a close-up of that, and I'll explain a little bit about the other technique that's involved with this one. So it's a little bit more complicated, hence why I'm doing it in 2 parts. So here we are looking for, now I'm going to show you here a C power chord, right? Now the original one, the one that we looked at first, was here a G power chord with the first finger being there on the root note, which is the note G, the 6th fret of the 6th string in the 3rd fret. Now if we move that whole shape, so all of the fingers and everything down toward the ground by 1 string, so the first finger is now on the 5th string and the third finger is on the 5th fret of the 4th string, little fingers underneath on the 5th fret of the 3rd string. The important thing, the most important thing you can do when you learn a 5th string root power chord is to make sure that the tip of your finger is pressing a little bit on the 6th string. Now if I just kind of roll my guitar over a little bit like that, can you see that the tip of my finger there is actually kind of pushing up and touching the 6th string, and that actually mutes that string. So if I play this 6th string power chord now with just a bit of distortion, the 6th string is muted, then we've got, so the thinnest 2 strings are still muted with the underneath of the first finger, just like they were on the 6th string root. But this thing here, that keeping the tip of your finger up pressing on the 6th string is really important. Otherwise lots of songs are going to sound really rubbish. So really try and, as you're learning these, the 5th string root, make sure that the first finger is pressing down on the 5th string and kind of pressing up just a little bit. Don't hold it down. You can hold it down and it gives it a kind of different sound, but just put it on the note and then press up a little bit with your first finger, so that to make sure that you mute that 6th string. So once you've got that muting thing down, then it's time to start learning that every power chord can be played in 2 different ways. So if we think about that, for example, that little Nirvana chord progression we had before, where we were going F sharp to B. Now really that's quite far to jump, especially if you're jumping around like Kurt used to. Then it's a little bit too far to be jumping around, especially as, strangely enough, we've got a root note here at the 2nd fret of the 5th string. And you can hear that here down on the 6th string at the 7th fret and at the 2nd fret of the 5th string, it's the same thing. Very slightly different sound, nothing to worry about at all, but essentially, especially with lots of distortion on, you won't hear the difference. So instead of going and having to do that big shift, you can go, and it's strangely enough it's the same with the A to the D again. A is here at the 5th fret of the 6th string, the root note, as we learned in Power Chords Part 1. Now D, instead of shooting all of the way up to the 10th fret, D is actually again found on the 5th fret of the 5th string. So you can hear, there's your D and there's your D up there, they sound exactly the same. So now instead of having to go, which is a whole lot of moving around, now we can go, move it over to the A and down a string, so we can then actually play it properly. So you can hear there that the whole idea now is to be able to get across the strings. Now that particular chord progression is quite a good one because it gives you a bit of practice moving from a 6th string root note to a 5th string root note. I mean, there are loads of other power chord songs, a bunch of which I'm about to put up on my other YouTube channel, the Songs one, to give you some practice at using these power chords, because it really is an important technique. It's also a really good precursor to using bar chords. So if you're not familiar with playing bar chords yet, power chords kind of are a good lead-in because they give you the idea of the root note, because all your bar chords work on this same principle of having a root note that determines the chord name. So if you're really serious, if you're at all serious about your guitar playing, you definitely need to get your power chords sorted out, and you definitely need to get to know where those root notes are. So the basic kind of notes on the 5th string, you've got a note B at the 2nd fret, C is at the 3rd fret, D is at the 5th fret, E is at the 7th fret, and F is at the 1st fret. So every chord can be played 2 different places. So like F is the 1st fret of the 6th string root, or the 8th fret of the 5th string. It's an octave higher, but it's still the same chord. G is at the 3rd fret of the 6th string, or the 10th fret of the 5th string root. A is actually an A open power chord, which we haven't done yet, and we'll do those another time. And B is the 7th fret of the 6th string root, and also it is the 2nd fret of the 5th string root. So you can see that every power chord can be played at least 2 different ways. So this is really quite a kind of fundamental skill. So big deals for you. Go to the website, check out where the root notes are. Really, really important. Check out the shapes. And then the most important thing, the technical kind of part of playing these power chords, is making sure that you mute the correct strings. So making sure that your first finger mutes all of the thin strings that you're not playing on, and when you're playing a 5th string root power chord, that the tip of your first finger mutes the 6th string for you. If you get those techniques down, this will be well sorted. So I hope now you've got a thorough understanding of power chords, and have fun rocking out. See you soon. Bye bye.